welcome to Forbidden Planet TV. I'm Andrew Sumner, and I'm very pleased to be joined by, no lie, one of my favourite illustrators, the one and only Sweeney Boo. How are you, mate?
Hi, I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much for joining me. We were talking off camera about the fact that I just love your artwork, and my daughter just loves your artwork as well. And it's in it, and we will often bond over. We bond over many things, but we often bond over the sheer beauty of what you do. And I was just saying, I'm such a big fan of those of everything you do, but I really love those DC backup strips you did a while back. The Punchline backup strips, they're so lovely. And I also love the Captain Marvel Cosmic Catastrophe
Oh,
book. Yeah,
yeah.
that was awesome. That was fantastic. How did that come about?
Uh, Honestly, actually, it was like my very first like comic work. I went to a portfolio review at Toronto Comic Art Festival back in like 2018, and I had like my portfolio, and I went to meet IDW. So like I ended up doing like a cover with them for like My Little Pony. And 6 months later, they kind of sent me an email being like, hey, do you want to like try on to maybe do Captain Marvel? And like, how can I say no to that?
Yeah.
So here we are.
I mean, it's amazing. I think that's incredible that you went from portfolio review in 2018 to just the sheer breadth of commissions and work you've had here, right here and now in 2022. What has that ride been like for you?
It's been pretty crazy. I kind of like pinch myself every day because it's what I've been wanting to do since I was a kid. Um, so I don't take it for granted at all. I wake up every day and I'm like, okay, it could all end tomorrow. So I try to like take it one day at a time, enjoy every project that I have, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
And do you deliberately keep your focus kind of spread across because you've got your covers that you do, which is such a great way to dip in and out of a book that you might like, I think, to be able to
Yeah.
do it. It's like we were also talking about Matthew Rosenberg, who's on this show a lot, and his great book, What's the Furthest Place From Here? You've done a bunch of really beautiful covers for that book.
Yeah, and actually I got to do a guest issue for them that is coming out. I think it's in November. Because Tyler Boss is actually a good friend of
Yeah,
mine. So I really love what they did with the book. And
it's a
I
great book.
like any collaborations they've done together has been like amazing. So being able to just like do a little thing on that one has been amazing.
They're two great blokes, and if I remember this correctly, one of the many things I love about them is the fact that I think they became friends working together in Forbidden Planet, New York. Yeah, so that was that.
Right.
So they have this whole comic book retailing connection, and their love and their understanding of the medium is just a wonder to behold, actually.
I feel like when you read their books, you can definitely tell that they have like a great bond together.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's very true. And speaking of bonds, and I mentioned the bond I had with my daughter about your work, we're both extremely excited about your new graphic novel, Over My Dead Body, which we're very proud to be publishing at Titan Comics. Oh,
I'm very lucky.
and thanks so much for working with us because we're just over the moon about it. And when we saw when we saw the pages, everybody was just so blown away. So please, Sweeney, what can you tell me about the concept of the book?
It really came about like right before the pandemic hit, actually. I always wanted to work on a graphic novel about witches. I've always
Yeah,
been fascinated with witches. And I was just like, how can I, take on a dark academia and with something that has not already been done because it's really hard. So I kind of like was like, okay, let's just try to tell something maybe that people that can relate to. So the book is really about the relationship with friends and families and maybe like chosen family. But the surrounded by like a more like horror and like mystery because one of our characters' friends actually disappeared at the beginning of the book, and it's like really rare for anything to happen at this like magic school. So everything gets like kind of like thrown off, and our main character is like, I have to find my friend. So there's secrets, there's ghosts. That's pretty much like all I wanted to draw.
Yeah. I mean, it must the wish fulfillment of that, to be able to not just work within that medium, the
Mhm.
witchcraft medium, but actually to create something that's coming out of your own head. That must be a beautiful thing.
It is beautiful. It is extremely hard and challenging, but I think that's what I like about it because even like looking at it now, I see, things that I could have done differently, but I don't regret it. It's like I'm learning from it, which is great. So it's really interesting and kind of like mind-blowing to be like, oh, I've made that.
Yeah.
It came out of my head.
I mean, it's wonderful. And what were some of your major what were some of your inspirations for this work? What was it that inspired this particular narrative?
Actually, the way I always like go on to create a story is I love to sketch for myself. And one time I kind of like out of nowhere sketched Abigail, and I was just like, okay, I have to use her. She's my character. And everything kind of like just came about very naturally. But I've always been a fan of like I grew up watching Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Oh, we have a
Oh,
visitor.
as if by magic. Fantastic.
Hi.
That you couldn't get a better black cat appears key than that. That's amazing.
Yes. Um, so well, of course, Harry Potter, but also like I've read like a lot of book about witchcraft, and
Yeah.
I just really wanted to get something that was maybe a bit more, I guess, kind of like grounded, because I feel like magic is always kind of like, people like throwing spells here and there, where I feel like it's more something that comes out of like your emotions and
Yeah.
something that you have. It's like it's a craft. So I really wanted to get this like craft idea with it, I guess.
Yeah. I think that's a lovely concept. How long did it take you to put the book together?
Well, I was lucky enough that my agent was very involved with the entire like pitch and everything. So I'd say about 6 months. Um, but it can't like I'd say when we really decided to like we're going to make this pitch. But before that, there's been like a lot of sketches and so it's kind of hard to gauge, but kind of like that.
No, I get that. What is it, do you think, about witchcraft that exerts such a narrative power to this day, but it always has done? Why is it such a compelling concept?
It's so mysterious and also kind of like empowering for anyone to be able to like when you think about someone who does witchcraft, you think about all of these things that they're able to do that we don't know about. And it's like it's not very scary, it's just like you want to know more. And I feel that it also gives any kind of world of character like so many more like possibilities. So I feel like it's just a subject that it's never gonna go away.
Yeah, I think that's very true. I've always been fascinated about the way witchcraft has often been treated within narrative,
Mhm.
within storytelling, is that there's an element of duality about it always. Some of the things you referenced, Sabrina, and even going back to situation comedies like Bewitched in the '60s.
Yes, exactly.
It's people who are one thing, who outwardly present to be something else.
Totally. And it's always like, you know, um, I feel like it's definitely part of the identities of these characters, and it makes them this like very interesting, I guess, person. I'm so sorry. She's totally in the way.
Now,
It's
what's
not
her
about
name?
me
What's her
today.
name?
Loki.
Oh yeah, come on! What? You can't get a better cat name than that. That's brilliant. She's very
And
beautiful.
she is. She knows it too.
Yeah,
She
no.
loves the attention.
I mean, it's great that we've got her joining us on screen. I think that's fantastic. What you couldn't be more appropriate. And the name's a
Definitely.
masterclass in naming cats. Loki, brilliant.
I was away for New York Comic Con for a week, so I think she
Yeah.
missed me.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure that's the case. Yeah, and Sweeney, what are your hopes for the how people will receive this graphic novel?
Uh, you know, I just hope that they enjoy it. I I don't want anything more than that. It's like, I think it's coming out at the right time during Halloween and the spooky season.
Yeah.
And I think it's pretty much like everybody loves the fall and just like the cozy vibe that it brings. So if the book can help create that even more, that's all I want.
Well, I'm sure it will, because it's a beautifully crafted book about the craft of witchcraft. And
Exactly. Yeah,
I
thank
managed
you.
to put craft into that sentence 3 times then. But it really is, and I think it's a beautiful work that anybody watching this conversation, who can order the book, by the way, from the links attached to our conversation, will find it the most rewarding Halloween purchase. So the time to buy it is now. As Sweeney says, it couldn't be coming out at a better time. And what else are you working on at the moment, Sweeney?
So I'm actually already working on the sequel,
Brilliant.
which I'm like very excited about, to maybe expand a little bit more on the world and
Yeah.
in depth of like certain relationships that I've like kind of like introduced in the first book. And I'm also taking on the ongoing of Harley Quinn starting like next year. So I'm like juggling both, but I'm very, very excited.
That's fantastic. And the undoing of Harley Quinn, are you writing and illustrating that, or you?
No, Teeny Howard is writing, and I've already actually laid out the first issue, and it's incredibly fun.
Man, I cannot wait to see that. I can't think of anybody who's better suited for the pantheon of those contemporary DC characters than
Oh,
yourself.
that means a lot. Thank you. Yeah, no, she's I can't even believe it myself yet. So it's gonna be great.
So not only have you got Over My Dead Body, which is publishing now, October, Halloween 2022, but you've got the sequel coming next year,
Mhm.
and you've got the undoing of Harley Quinn coming as well.
Yeah, I love my work a bit too much, I would say sometimes. Maybe I will slow down eventually, but right now I'm just happy drawing every day.
Yeah, I mean, I think being too busy is the classic example of the very definition, in fact, of a champagne problem. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's a problem, but it's the kind of problem, you sit around and uncork a bottle of champagne and, congratulate yourself at the
Yeah.
same time. And it would seem to me, blessed with the ability that you have and the natural feeling that you have for these characters, to be able to actually spend your time creating those characters, that must just feel amazing.
I feel incredibly lucky and just blessed that this is my everyday life, and that I get to draw my own characters and people get to draw like to read about them. It's still like it's very, very surreal. Um so I don't know. I love my work, and I'm very happy to be doing this and sharing it with people.
Yeah, and we're very happy to be receiving it and reading it. And as I said, we're really proud to be publishing Over My Dead Body, and
Thank you.
everybody is just so in awe of the work that you've done on the page, that anybody who's intrigued by this conversation, watching this conversation on Forbidden Planet TV, you've really got to check this book out. It's an amazing piece of work.
Well, this is very, very kind. I really appreciate it.
And Sweeney, thanks so much for joining me. I very much look forward to seeing what you do next, and I very much look forward to seeing that issue of What's the Furthest Place From Here as well.
Yes, I can't wait for it to come out. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for spending the time with me today. And once again, Over My Dead Body can be ordered from the links attached to our conversation. And it's really lovely to meet you, mate.
You too. Thank you so much.
If you're enjoying watching Forbidden Planet TV, and you're enjoying watching us talk to the world's most interesting and accomplished filmmakers, authors, artists, musicians, creators, subscribe right here. See you soon.